And welcome back to Pinnacle Bank Arena here, the day of the semifinals, 12 games with teams vying for the 6th final contest to be played on Saturday. We're going to recap all of the action. Brandon Axelman, Eric McKay with you. We had about as thrilling of a day as we could have on Thursday, and the action continued here on Friday.
That it did. Probably won't have a buzzer beater in this one. Creighton Prep up 19 on Omaha Bryan, but that doesn't mean we didn't have buzzer beaters earlier today.
Looking forward to recounting all of the action. We are starting off with Class C1 with two perennial powers, Wahoo and Lincoln Christian. Let's jump right to the action.
And welcome to Pinnacle Bank Arena as we have the 1 seed versus the 5 seed Lincoln Christian taking on Wahoo. We're going to pick things up in the second quarter. Wahoo got off to a hot start, leading the game 26-10 out of the gate. But Caleb Canfield knocks on a triple, part of a 16-1 run for Lincoln Christian to end out the half. Brendan Lacey would not be denied as he gets to the rim, then to the foul line. Lincoln Christian goes back to Caleb Canfield for the little lay-in. Winston Cook gathers the ball from a nice feed from Cameron Quick, gets it to go. You've heard about transition offense. How about transition defense? Dylan Egger with a beautiful steal, getting the ball up the court. Brendan Lacey with the finish. Beautiful looking layup. Wahoo would get up by 10, but credit Lincoln Christian as they would not go away. Max McEwen giving maximum effort on the putback. Followed by Justin Bubak with a boo block. Head coach Nunley was very proud of his team's character afterwards.
Our guys are extremely disappointed, and that says a lot about their character because Wahoo is a really good basketball team, and we believe we're going to win today. And that's why we do this. That's why we do the athletics. Why we push, pull, strive, and compete in such ways to win the prize. And I told our guys that the outcome of the game does not determine their self-worth and who they are as young men.
But Wahoo's lead was just too great, and their ability to play keep away and knock down free throws down the stretch was good enough to secure a 60-48 win.
Really proud of our kids for responding at halftime, going out and playing our game and making a run, kind of stretching it back out, getting the lead, and made enough plays we need to. But credit to Christian, they put up an excellent fight, and they're really good team. Just really proud of their composure and figuring a way to get it done down the stretch. They've got one goal in mind they have all year, and I hope these guys will get it done tomorrow.
Reporting for Channel Nebraska from Pinnacle Bank Arena, I'm Andy Classen.
So Lincoln Christian, they fall, but they do get to hold their hats on. They held Wahoo to 60 points. That is their 6th lowest scoring total. Of course, it was still plenty for the Warriors to advance to state.
Yeah, 60 points. Usually when a team gets that, they're real happy for Wahoo. They're wondering what happened. They've hit 80 points 7 times this year, including their first-round victory over Ogallala. But again, keeping with a theme that we've seen at state, getting off to a great start. Wahoo jumping on Lincoln Christian early, and the Crusaders just couldn't come back.
So who will the Warriors get on Saturday? Well, it's either going to be Broken Bow or Winnebago. Let's see what happened on the other side of the bracket.
2 seed versus the 3 seed as Winnebago takes on Broken Bow. Getting things started early, Cleveland hitting a 3 from way downtown. One of 5 3-pointers on the game. Winnebago would open the game up with an 8-0 run, forcing head coach Olsen to call a quick timeout. But out of the break, Kevin Lynn getting position down low for the easy lay-in. Then it appeared Broken Bow found something inside as Harvey also gets open down low. Then Winnebago with the answer, saying anything you can do, we can do better, finding Lance Denny inside for the easy bucket. Broken Bow would respond with some inside-outside as Lynn would find Borders for the elbow tray. That would be one of 3 3-pointers for Borders. But Winnebago with the answer once again. Maurice Scott knocking down the tray. That would give the Warriors back that 8-point lead with time winding down in the third period. Then Winnebago does what Winnebago does best. Running the court, Devon LaPointe, 2 of his 25. Res ball alive and well in Pinnacle Bank Arena. Credit Broken Bow as they would keep battling as Borders finds Lynn down low for another inside bucket.
Well, I just think they made a lot of great plays. Cleveland and the point or two. two of the better players in Class C1, and I thought we gave everything that we had, and we tried the best that we could, and they just made plays, and they made a lot of them, and a lot more than we did down the stretch.
And then with time winding down, Devon LaPointe with a dagger three-point ball, 3 of his 25 points on the afternoon, as Winnebago would pull away and secure a 69-55 victory.
I mean, it's great, especially now during this time of the season. They stay focused, and we just told them to buckle down, get a couple more stops to put the game out of reach, and that's what they did. They dug in deep and came up with some big stops at the end.
Reporting from Pinnacle Bank Arena for News Channel Nebraska, I'm Andy Quest.
So there is your Class C1 final. Wahoo and Winnebago going at it. And Eric, these teams haven't met this season, but they do have some postseason history.
That they do. This is kind of a rubber match between these two teams. They met back in 2015 in the first round. Winnebago won that game. They met in the semifinals last year. Wahoo won that. Now they meet for the state championship tomorrow. A rubber match for the guys who've been freshmen on this team. And both of these teams have had players who've been contributing since they were freshmen as well. So two teams, while they don't play much in the regular season, certainly very familiar with one another.
Looking forward to a good one on Saturday. That will be the morning game in Class C1 to start off championship Saturday. Let's take a look at the brackets here for Class C1, brought to you by Faith Regional Health Services. There it is, Winnebago and Wahoo battling for the championship again. Eric, Wahoo, one of those perennial powers, 11 state titles in Class C1 alone.
Yeah, they're going for their 11th, one of the rare teams that's in double figures. Meanwhile, I don't know what you would set the over-under at tomorrow's game, but it would be high. These teams have combined for 14 games in which they've scored at least 80. I hope they've got the scoreboard ready to go tomorrow morning at PBA.
And now it's on to Class C2 as we keep on rolling, Eric.
Absolutely, and in Class C2, one of the perennial powers for years has been Hastings St. Cecilia. But this year, a team that's been an upstart even going back to football season when they won a state championship was UTAN. Those two teams met in the semifinals today. Michael Shively has the highlights.
Class C2 semifinal action at the Bob Devaney Sports Center. Second-seeded UTAN, third-seeded St. Cecilia. Blue Hawks look ready, but they have to deal with the lightning-quick Mason Tim, who gets to the hole for the Chieftains in the first quarter. But St. Cecilia counters. They like the three ball, and Trevor Leach is the biggest fan of it. He cans the three from the corner. Now they get the ball down low, and Blaine Boyd able to put it in, the big man going, but UTAN, their own big man, gets going. That's Colton Feast. He had 13 points in the game for UTAN. Still first half action and more Trevor Leach. That time top of the key. He buries the triple. 5 3-pointers for him. That gets the bench going. But before the half, Tim with a filthy spin move. I don't know how he finished that. And going into the break, it's a 25-23 lead for St. Cecilia out of the gate. Leach again, that time from the wing, and St. Cecilia takes a lead entering the fourth quarter of 32-30. UTAN hanging around with Feast, a power dribble and puts it in. But then Ponkas goes back to Boyd, that time on a beautiful back cut and the left-handed finish for Boyd, who had 9 points in the second half. Good teamwork finding him. And they'll find him one more time. Another good cut. And Coach Kevin Asher says they're a balanced team, but they go to Boyd.
But everybody knows that when we got to have a big rebound, we got to have a big bucket, we're going to go to him. And we went down the stretch to him, ran a couple sets that worked, and our kids delivered.
Chieftains don't want to be done yet from way downtown. Tim fills it up for 3 of his 19. Coach Justin Peterson trying to diagram a final play. 3 seconds left, UTAN down 3, and here's what they do. Into Feast, the tip out, shot fake, Tim's shot up and just short. Heartbreak for the Chieftains, but St. Cecilia gets it done down the stretch. They're going to the championship game.
We've been a great defensive team all year. We got to stop right there at the end, caught a break on a front iron. So, hats off to UTAN, outstanding group of kids too, so just proud of our boys.
39-36 the final. For NCN Sports Now, I'm Michael Shively.
Lowest lowest scoring semifinal game of the day, Brandon, and St. Cecilia. This was supposed to be a down year for the Blue Hawks, and all they've done is make the C2 title game.
It's funny because in a sentence you never really hear down year in St. Cecilia. They still have so many seniors. They're always reloading. Of course, the transfer Leach from Sutton has been a big boost for them. And you look at the team, they're so balanced. 1 through 5, their starters, they're averaging between 7 and 11 points a game. So everyone contributes offensively. They're so balanced, and that's why it makes them a tough team to stop.
Absolutely. Speaking of tough teams to stop, how about Ponca? The 1 seed in Class C2 absolutely rolled the 8 seed yesterday. Meanwhile, BRLD had a buzzer beater to get to the semis today. Those two divergent paths crossing this afternoon. Michael Shively letting us know how it shook out.
Class C2 semifinals, top-seeded Ponca, 5th-seeded BRLD. Coach Corey Meyer and company coming off a thrilling buzzer-beater overtime win over Elman Murdoch in round 1. But Carter Kingsbury doesn't want the same thing to happen this time around. Ponca gets the early three-pointer, and they get a lot of early threes. There's Kingsbury again getting the Indians pumped up. He would hit 4 3-pointers in the first quarter alone. Now BRLD, they did get some action. Jackson Johnson puts that one in inside. Then a good pass up ahead, and the finish goes for Trenton Gatewood. Wolverines trying to make a tough first quarter of it, but it was too many long balls. That time Max Mason from the left wing knocks it down. Here's Mason again from the same spot. Cash, the 6'6 senior, lighting it up, as is the whole team.
That's pretty much our game, to push, and just play our game and drive and attack and kick and hit the three.
You know what else is Max Mason's game? Defense. There's another swat. He had a few in Thursday's game as well, and saving it. It's Ponca's basketball, and they know what to do with it. Carter Kingsbury, there's number 4 of his three-pointers in the first quarter. And the Indians up 30-20 heading into halftime. Coach Corey Meyer has to develop a game plan. And the Wolverines come out attacking in the second half. That's Will Gatzmeyer cutting to the basket. And this time it's Lucas Vogt, yesterday's hero, putting it in with the right hand. Getting some BRLD fans some time to clap, but it wouldn't last long. Gage McGill with a nice drive and basket. That earns a stand-up and a couple claps from the bench. Then the finishing touches put on by Mason, dishing inside to McGill, and Ponca gets it done, but BRLD has a lot to be proud of.
Coming into the tournament 24-2, getting a win against Elman Murdoch. I mean, it's been a great season. It's been a fun season, and hopefully tomorrow we can end on a high note.
Ponca coach Adam Pulaski's special group will have a chance to repeat.
These kids are so good. I mean, they're great kids. They've worked hard. You know, these seniors have worked hard for 4 years for me. To me, it would have been really disappointing to not have them play in Pinnacle Bank Arena.
Ponca gets the 17-point win. They'll face Hastings St. Cecilia in the championship game. For NCN Sports Now, I'm Michael Shively.
So Ponca, the 1 seed, moves on to the championship game. We're pleased to be joined now by the guy you just heard, Michael Shively, here with us. Thank you for joining me, Michael. And you and I have both seen Ponca quite a bit this year. We've had a chance to chat with Coach Pulaski quite a few times. You know, I look at this matchup with Hastings St. Cecilia. Let's start with Ponca offensively. And how maddening, even for a coach like Coach Asher, it must be to try to game plan for what Ponca brings to the table.
Well, they can all shoot, they can all handle the ball, and they can all crash the offensive glass. It is really tough to try to figure out Ponca. I was discussing with some other media today who's their best player, and really you can make a case for 4 different guys. They are so deep and they're so talented, lengthy too, so they are a really tough team to game plan for.
Look at Logan Kingsbury last year, essentially being player of the year in Class C2, averaging 12 points a game. They have so many guys on the team that could average 20 if they wanted, but they just don't need to. Now, Hastings St. Cecilia, on the other hand, if there's anybody defensively who might be built to stop Ponca, I would argue it's them. Teams generally have their worst offensive performances against St. Cecilia. What'd you see from the Blue Hawks today?
Well, for both days, I've seen great defense. They've done an excellent job playing really solid, sound defense. They held UTAN to just 36 today, and they shut them down late. They only allowed 13 points in the second half to UTAN. This is arguably the best defensive team in Class C2. So it should be a good matchup. You have Ponca, who's a really good defensive team too, but they can put up points. They'll face likely their toughest defensive test in St. Cecilia, so it could be a low-scoring game. I could see it go high-scoring because St. Cecilia can shoot the 3-ball and Ponca can run with the best of them. It really does look to be a pretty good matchup.
I want to touch on the third-place game is BRLD UTAN. That's actually an interesting matchup. Particularly, BRLD has got some young pieces. This is not the last we're going to hear from the Wolverines either.
No, Lucas Vogt, he had the shot of the tournament that I've seen so far. I mean, I guess there's been a bunch of other ones in all these overtime games, but this kid, he had the composure to pull up from 30 feet away in overtime with time expiring, down 2, and drain a 3-pointer. He went against his coach's wishes. His coaches said, drive to the hoop. He said, no, I'll just take this NBA range 3-pointer. So they have some young talent there that can shoot, that can drive, that can do a lot of stuff. And UTAN, man, they have 2 really good players, and they're really well coached. So that third-place game has a lot of fireworks, too.
Absolutely. So 2 very interesting matchups for C2. If you had to bottom line what the biggest key for tomorrow's game will be, what do you think it would be?
If you're St. Cecilia, you need to slow down Ponca right out of the gate because they've gotten ahead, and they've gotten ahead big in the first 2 games of the state tournament. It's felt like it's been over after about 1 quarter in both of those games. Today they made 6 3-pointers in the first quarter. You can't let Max Mason, Carter Kingsbury, Logan Kingsbury, and the whole multitude of Indians get going from long range right away. If St. Cecilia can slow them down and make it a good game after a quarter or 2, they have a chance.
Should be an interesting matchup. You'll be there for it. Michael Shavley, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
Let's take a look at the Class C2 bracket now, brought to you by Faith Regional Health Services. So Hastings, St. Cecilia, and Ponca. Ponca trying to be a back-to-back champion. The last team that won back-to-back titles, Hastings, St. Cecilia, 3 and 4 years ago. So St. Cecilia with an opportunity to end Ponca's chance at winning back-to-back title games. And again, you've got UTAN against BRLD in your third-place contest. And boy, you talk about contrast to styles as we welcome Brandon Axelman back in. St. Cecilia, look, they don't have the Trey Ashers of the world anymore, so they've got to kind of grind games to a halt, right? That's not Ponca, and Ponca can. And I think one of the more underrated aspects of them, and you saw it today with BRLD, Ponca can D up as well. If you slow the game down, they can hang with that. But this Ponca team is about as complete as any we've seen in C2, maybe since the St. Cecilia teams that won back-to-back titles a few years ago. I think perhaps the most intriguing matchup tomorrow.
Well, you talk about the Ponca team that has just 1 loss, and they've taken down Class C1 teams like Winnebago, who is in the C1 championship. Their resume speaks for itself. Such a well-rounded team. I mean, you can't say it any more than what you've said about what Ponca can do. Hastings St. Cecilia, you would say they're not the favorite, not the underdog, but they are not favored in this one. But Coach Asher is going to have them ready to play. They have been here so many times before with this program, and like you said, looking forward to it. It'll be a good one.
Ponca beat Gretna. I mean, that's how good they are this year. That should be a fun matchup. By the way, just went final in Class A. Creighton Prep beats Omaha Bryan 63-48. So it'll be Prep against Bellevue West for the Class A title tomorrow.
Speaking of Class A, we'll be talking Class A and Class B. We'll take a quick break and be back with more state basketball show here on News Channel Nebraska.